Привет, товарищам! I want to talk to you today about my gaming manifesto of sorts. I already did a blog post on this, but I thought might be a nice thing to go over in voice and to kind of add to a bit. Rule 1. Your mileage may vary. These are my ideas, it's my manifesto, it's for me, it's not for anybody else. If you want to do something different, that's entirely up to you. These are just things that work for me. Rule 2. Games should be fun. Over and above anything else that you're considering, whatever game you make should be fun to play. Now, fun is a very subjective term. Fun can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Some people find one thing fun, some people find another thing fun. There's plenty of different ways to have fun, is what I'm getting at. But that should be your focus, fun. And for you, as the designer, it should be something fun to make, and something that you think would be fun to play. That pretty much overrides all other considerations. Rule 3. System matters. Okay, this is a contentious issue for a lot of people, and yes, you can run any sort of game with just about any sort of system. You could coin flips, whatever. But when you have setting and system working in synergy together, then it's just so much better. The rules of the game create the game world physics. They're the scaffold upon which you hang your story. And if the rules support the kind of stories that you're trying to create, it's just so much better and easier. There's a lot to be said for familiarity with the system, in that you can jump straight in, feet first, and get going because everyone knows the rules. But if you take the time to learn a specific system suited to a specific task, it's just better in my opinion. So, for me at least, system does matter. Rule 4. Plausible worlds. Now, when I say plausible, I don't mean realistic, and I don't mean you have to cut out the fantastical. I just mean you need to think through the implications. When you're creating a plausible world, it's one that passes at least cursory examination. It's one that people can understand. It's one that makes sense and is grounded in its own sense of reality, so that it holds together. That's what I mean by plausible. Rule 5. I am not a storyteller. Whether you're a GM running a game or whether you're someone writing a game, you need to understand you're not really telling a story like a novelist or a playwright or a filmmaker. Rather, you're creating a context in which other people's stories can take place. So, while metaplot and things can add to a game, if it's too controlling, you're cutting out other people's ability to make their own stories, and that's generally to the denigration of the game. Rule 6. Agendas are boring. I'm not saying a game shouldn't have an agenda. Several of mine do. And while it may be explicit during the design process, I feel it's much better if it's implicit in the game rather than explicit. You don't want to punch people in the face with whatever point you're making over and over, because it just takes over and it becomes dull and repetitive, and it sucks the fun out of it. It's good to have strong moral sense. It's good to have strong focus for the game that you're creating, but don't let it override the fun factor. So, remember Rule 2. Rule 7. I make what I love. If you make something entirely determined by commercial pressures, then you better be a big company, really. Otherwise, you drive yourself crazy. There's not a great deal of money in this, so a great deal of the reward for me is in creating things that I like, that I would play, that I want to do. Things that other people aren't doing. Giving myself the things that I want, that I need from games that aren't being addressed. So, for me at least, it's important that I be creating something that I love. Rule 8. Once it's out, I don't own it anymore. Once you put a game out, people can do whatever they want with it. There's no right or wrong way to play a game, really. You can have your preferences, you can spell them out in the adventures, and you can spell them out in the book. But ultimately, what people do with your game is up to them, and that's cool. You know, fair enough. Good on you. If people want to ask, I'll tell them what my intention was. Even if they don't ask, I'll tell them what my intention was. But if you want to take one of my games and do whatever the fuck you want with it, why should I give a shit? It doesn't hurt me. Rule 9. I'm going to run out of fingers soon. I am not a professional. I can act professionally, sure. I treat people well or whatever. But this is a hobby business. And I think if you lose sight of the fact that you're in a hobby business, then you're going to start alienating people. In hobby businesses where the people that play the games are probably about as creative and committed as you are, it seems stupid to me to take that kind of arrogant, besooted, from on high sort of attitude. I think you need to say, hey, I'm one of you guys. It's just, I've got the time and I've made the effort to make this, and I hope you enjoy it, rather than, being up on the mountain giving pronouncements. Rule 10. Relationships are business, and business is relationships. The better you get on with people, the easier it's going to be for you to run a gaming business like this. I try very hard to be friends with everyone that I work with. It's not always easy. There's always stumbling along the way, and friends don't always agree. But if you're coming at it from a foundation of friendship and forgiveness and giving each other space and time, if you're understanding if someone oversteps a mark or whatever, that's worth at least as much to me as the money is. And you do a favour for someone, you get a favour in return, and you get a lot of goodwill, and that spreads out. I'm not saying this is a calculated thing, it's just that's the way I prefer to do business, on a personal basis of friendship. Rule 11. I can be an arsehole, but you are a prick. What do I mean by that? That was stolen from Andrew Maxwell recently on TV. The point is, everyone and anyone can act like an arsehole from time to time. Being an arsehole is something that you do, but if someone is a prick, it's something they are. So I can forgive myself the occasional slip into being a bit of a bastard to someone, or fucking up. That's okay, as long as it's not fundamental to who I am. Referring back to the relationship thing, provided I'm friendly and nice to the people I work with and most of my audience, it's all good, because I'm only being an arsehole occasionally. I'm not a prick. Makes sense to me. Okay, rule 12, and the last one, and also the motto of my business. Fuck 'em if they can't take a joke. If someone doesn't have a sense of humour, if they take everything you do too seriously, there's no saving them, basically. I try to do this. I try not to care what people say. It's very hard, but it's a lot healthier if a criticism is just plain stupid or wrong, that you ignore it. Another way to put this would be, honey badger don't care. Well, thank you for listening. I hope this has been enlightening to you about my philosophy of creation, and I'll see you all again soon. До свидания.